Welcome once again to another beautiful story on Harmony Chronicles Entertainment. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment by dropping the location you are watching from. Listen to this emotional love twist story. The city was alive, restless as always, its heart beating in sirens, in honking horns, in the muffled hum of conversations that drifted through apartment windows. But beneath that rhythm lay another pulse, one not everyone could hear, the simmering tension between uniforms and the communities they patrolled. Claire Donovan had long since stopped noticing the tension. At least, she told herself she had. She wore her police badge like a shield, her uniform like armor, every shift another battle to be fought. Years on the force had hardened her. She had built her walls brick by brick, layer by layer, until there was almost nothing left of the woman who had once joined the academy full of ideals and hope. And so, on a humid summer evening when her patrol car pulled to a slow stop beside a black man walking home, her decisions weren't born of justice or fairness. They were born of exhaustion, suspicion, and the scars of too many encounters that had taught her to expect the worst. "Stop right there," she ordered, stepping out of the car. Her voice was cold, clipped, as if carved from stone. Marcus Hill turned, his expression calm but wary. "Evening, officer." Something in his tone, steady, respectful, unafraid, irked her. She advanced, suspicion already framing her perception. Within moments, words escalated, commands sharpened, and before she fully realized what she was doing, her hands were on him, shoving, striking harder than the situation demanded. The night air filled with the echo of fists against flesh. Marcus didn't fight back. He winced, but he didn't raise his hand. Neighbors stirred behind curtains, some recording, some whispering. Claire's breaths came harsh and fast, her heart pounding as though the enemy were before her. But when it was over, when Marcus lay on the ground bruised and she stood trembling above him, a silence fell. And in that silence, something shifted. The look in Marcus's eyes wasn't rage. It wasn't even fear. It was disappointment, like a mirror she couldn't avoid. A reflection of her own brokenness staring back at her. The reports were written, the system spun its wheels, the footage was reviewed. The department covered it quietly, another smudge on a long wall of shadows. But Claire couldn't cover it inside herself. For nights afterward, she couldn't sleep. The memory of his gaze haunted her. That silent accusation, no words, just eyes that asked a question she couldn't answer. "Who have you become?" Meanwhile, Marcus healed. The bruises faded, but the encounter dug deeper into his spirit than any wound. He was a man who believed in community, who gave his evenings to coaching kids at the park, who dreamed of opening a youth center so the next generation wouldn't feel the same traps he had once escaped. And yet, in that moment, he'd been reduced to another statistic, another man beaten for simply existing in the wrong place at the wrong time. Still, Marcus carried himself with dignity. He walked through his neighborhood the next week with a limp, but with his head high. Neighbors clapped him on the shoulder, offered sympathy, urged him to sue, to protest, to rage. But Marcus only said, "If I let bitterness own me, then I've already lost." Claire heard those words secondhand, through whispers around the precinct. And they cut deeper than any reprimand from her captain. Days stretched into weeks. She saw Marcus again, not in court, not under flashing lights, but at a community event where off-duty officers were asked to attend. He was helping set up tables, laughing with children, his presence commanding respect without demanding it. Claire stood at the edge, awkward in plain clothes, watching him. He noticed her. Their eyes met. For a heartbeat, she expected him to glare, to turn away, to expose her. Instead, he gave a simple nod. Nothing more. That nod unraveled her. From then on, she found herself lingering near the spaces he frequented. At first, it was coincidence. Or at least, that's what she told herself. She drove past the basketball court where he coached. She stopped by the park where he planted flowers with kids. Each time, she expected confrontation, expected him to call her out in public. But Marcus never did. He simply continued, steady as the tide, living out his mission. One evening, unable to resist, she leaned against the fence of the basketball court. He was teaching kids to dribble, his voice rising above the bounce of balls on asphalt. Midway through, he caught her watching. Without hesitation, he tossed her the ball. It startled her. She fumbled, caught it clumsily, and the kids laughed. Marcus chuckled, shaking his head. "Come on, officer, show us what you got." She dribbled awkwardly, cheeks burning, but the laughter was light, not cruel. For the first time in years, Claire laughed too, really laughed, the sound rusty from disuse. Something loosened inside her that day, something she didn't even know she'd been carrying. After the game, Marcus walked her halfway down the block. They didn't talk about what had happened weeks ago. They didn't talk about uniforms or bruises. Instead, he simply said, "You're different without the badge." Her brow furrowed. "Different how?" "Human," he said quietly. The word lingered in the air long after they parted ways. Claire wrestled with it. For so long, she had hidden behind authority, behind regulations and procedures. But Marcus saw her, not the cop, not the mistakes, but the woman buried beneath the armor. It was weeks later, on a rainy evening, when she appeared at his door. She stood drenched, water dripping from her jacket, her eyes tired and red. He opened the door, surprised but calm, and stepped aside without a word. She stood in his living room, fists clenched, voice trembling. "I'm sorry." The words hung heavy. Marcus studied her, his expression unreadable. The silence pressed against her chest until she thought she might break. Finally, he spoke. "Sorry is a start. But don't just be sorry. Be new." Her throat tightened. Tears burned. "Teach me how." That night, they talked. For hours, they peeled back layers neither had dared expose before. She told him of the walls she built, of the loneliness that consumed her beneath the badge, of the bitterness she didn't even know had seeped into her bones. He told her of the struggles he faced, the system that had failed him, the nights he wondered if hope was worth the effort. And yet, by dawn, something unexpected had bloomed between them. Not forgiveness, at least, not fully, but a seed. A beginning. Their paths crossed more often after that. At first, cautiously, then with intention. Claire joined community events not as a requirement, but as a volunteer. Marcus invited her to help with the kids, to serve meals at the shelter, to stand beside him instead of opposite him. The more time they spent together, the more her heart softened, the more his trust grew. Moments turned into memories. Shared coffee at a corner cafe. Laughter over spilled soup at a fundraiser. Side-by-side silence while painting walls of the new youth center. It was in those silences, more than the words, that love began to take shape. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the city bathed in gold, Claire whispered, "Marcus, why do you believe in me?" He looked at her, eyes steady, voice gentle. "Because love believes all things. And maybe, just maybe, love found us when we least deserved it." Her breath caught. His hand brushed hers, warm, steady, not forcing, not demanding. Just there. And she let it stay. From then on, they were no longer two people bound by a violent past. They were two souls rewriting their story. Months later, when neighbors saw them walking side by side, laughter mingling in the evening air, they didn't see a cop and a victim. They saw two people who had chosen something bigger than bitterness. And somewhere, deep inside every witness, a seed of hope was planted. Because if a white cop and a black man could turn bruises into love, then maybe, just maybe, the world still had a chance. This is a wonderful story. Do you agree? Let me know what you think at the comment section. Thanks for listening. Also hit the subscribe button to get the notification when more awesome stories drops. Bye for now.